Hey there, my Jaiden Nation. This video is going to be a little bit more serious and more personal, so this isn't going to have Abby as the mascot because this isn't about my OC, it's about me, okay? I'm glad we can talk about that. This video was highly requested and I decided to do it because it was the last video of the month, so why not? Well, except the other video I have planning up, it's an animation. Y'all better promise to be good when I post that animation. Anyway, and since this month is Pride Month, I decided to do it because why not? Anyway, if you haven't joined the Jaiden Nation, you can subscribe by just clicking on the subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds, it's free, and it helps me very, very much. And also like the video when you're on the way because that tells YouTube that you like the video and they want to push it out more. Or you can dislike the video, that also helps me too, by the way. Yeah, disliking my video helps me a lot because you're engaging with my video. Anyway, so this video is discussing about being aroace, obviously, because that's in the title, and how I came to terms about it and the awkward conversations I have around it. If you clicked on this video and you're curious what aroace is and you don't know what it means I'm asexual and aromantic. Asexual means lack or no sexual attraction, and aromantic is lack or no romantic attraction. In my experience, I feel no romantic or sexual attraction. However, just because I cannot feel those types of attraction does not mean I cannot feel other types of attraction, like platonic, aesthetic, emotional, and intellectual. I very much have tons of platonic friendships, and those are very good friendships. I just wanted to say that because people just like to say that people who are aroace are just not friendly, or come up with this like narrative that like all of them are mean and stuff. Like y'all are acting like I'm Wreck-It Ralph from like Wreck-It Ralph. I'm bad and that's good. I'll never be good and that's not bad. There's no one else I'd rather be than me. Anyway, I got that out of the way. I wouldn't really consider this as a coming out video, since if you looked at my Twitter, it just says it, and I have also been identified as aroace for over 2 years. But I guess when you are queer, you have multiple coming outs, other than your big one. So, maybe it is, I don't know. I don't consider it as one though. Anyway, let's start about how I came to terms about being aroace. Well, so we're gonna fast forward to reverse to before that. I always knew I was queer. I wasn't sure what I identified as. I thought I could be bisexual since I like women and men in fictional media, but I never experienced it in real life. I assumed since I liked fictional characters, I would like real life people, which was pretty far from the truth. And to be honest, finding out that I was a queer guy was already scary. And yes, I did mean guy. Abby, the character on the screen, is my mascot, and she's my OC. She's not my Sona, so if you thought that was me, you're wrong. So if you're gonna sit for her, at least do it correctly. Okay, I'm glad I pointed that out. Going back to regular scheduled programming. I heard what being asexual was due to floating misconceptions. I thought it was someone completely detached from society and someone who just hated relationships in general, which is wrong. And for my thinking of that, you know who I kind of blame? A certain artist who likes to draw tons of demon stuff. And one of her demon characters, well, originally he was asexual, and everybody would just demonize him and say that he's just a mean person. So that's just kind of how I thought. Which is the demonization of asexuality, which is not I'm not trying to be haha funny because demons, but that's actually real. Until later I found out what aromantic is because one of my favorite comic creators identified as aroace. I don't remember who, but he identified as aroace for a long time and still does. And I think so. At this point, I was questioning if I even was bisexual. I knew I was queer, but I didn't know what I was until I did more research about being asexual and aromantic. And it's fine not to know what you are, just knowing that you're just queer, that's fine. By the way, I want to put that out. And while I was doing research, I kind of realized it sounded a little bit too much like me, but for the longest time, I just didn't want to admit it. Admitting I was aroace meant I was going to miss out a lot of things, like not being in a romantic relationship or feeling intimate moments with that special someone. Not saying if you are aroace, you cannot be in a relationship or do the deed. I just knew that I was not lacking in the aroace spectrum, and I knew I experienced no romantic or sexual attraction, and that was just a hard thing to admit. I don't know why I felt that, but I was just taught ever since I was young that this is the way to go in life. You fall in love with someone, you get married, you sleep with them, and have kids, and then you die. That's how it goes. However, for the longest time, and I still do, dislike that lifestyle. It just isn't for me. And there are tons of people who are not aroace who don't believe that lifestyle is for them. I'm not saying choosing not to get married and have kids, or how it normally goes, and then die, is a sign of being aroace. I mean, but for me it was, because I could never see myself in love, because I never felt it in a romantic sense, or just in any sense. I don't feel it. And to be honest, nor did the crystal ball. That's not a joke. Literally, I've went to tarot card readings and so many other readings, like palm readings. All of them point to no romantic life. Like, the amount of times I've had people look at my palm or like them read tarot cards, they're like, oh, it says that there's no romance in your future. And I'm like, oh, I wonder why. When people ask me about my future, I never thought of a spouse and kids. I always thought about my dream job and being successful and whatever opportunities my job would brought me. No kids and no spouse was in my future. And to be honest, your mind knows what it wants, and my mind knew that romance was not for me. Now, not every aroace or aromantic person dislikes romance. I don't dislike romance. It's just not for me. Like, for example, you're allergic to peanuts. Someone tries to give you peanuts and you decline politely. And they just ask you if you just dislike it, and you're like, tell them, like, well, I actually can't have it. I'm allergic to it. That's how it is, because just because you're quote-unquote allergic to it doesn't mean you hate it. Like, I know tons of people who are allergic to all kinds of stuff, and they're upset because they like that taste. Like, I know people who are like, I really love mangoes, but I'm allergic to mangoes. Or I really love Nutella, but I'm allergic to hazelnuts. And just because, like, I don't hate romance as a whole doesn't mean other people don't. There's people who do hate romance as a whole. There's some people who are just about it. Like, that's how I am about it. There's some people who are totally, like, in love with the idea of love, who is aroace. I like shipping, I like love songs, and media that contains romance. It's just something I wouldn't be into in my real life, aroace or not. I also try to have crushes on people. Like, I force it. I try to force my feelings for girls, and I try to force it for guys, but I could never feel the feeling that the person was meant for me in a romantic sense. I felt this pang of, this isn't right. It's not the person who was the problem majority of the time. I just try to make myself have feelings for someone, and you can't force feelings. It just wasn't meant to be romantic for anyone. I can feel close to someone, and it could be my person in a platonic sense. Just never in a romantic way, or another way. Just platonic. But in 2022, I just finally decided to come to terms with it and just say I'm aromantic and asexual. I can't experience romantic or sexual attraction, that's fine. There's something broken or wrong with me. It's just my brain wiring is just a little different. What took me so long to come to terms with it is just because of the stigma towards being aroace and how demonized it is. Or just there's barely any representation and how we're just forgotten. And it wasn't just being aroace. Being on the spectrum was too, not just from heterosexual people that's demonized, but also just within the community. I felt I was a monster if I just admitted being aroace, and if people see me that way if I do. And I don't want other aroace people or people in the aroace spectrum now in the future to feel what I felt. The loneliness, the confusion, and feeling like it's all over and all of those Prince Charming or Princess Charming or whatever is fantasies are now destroyed. Or those so-called fantasies from others are destroyed. In my works, a lot of my characters are aroace or on the aroace spectrum. I want to normalize it, and hopefully someone could identify with one of my characters and feel less lonely. And to be honest, the people in the aroace spectrum or in the aroace community are just left out. The amount of times I had to educate not just heterosexual people, but also queer people about sexuality was about my sexuality was like a number I could count too much, and hopefully a kid from the next generation who is aroace could feel the fruits of my labor, because I just want to normalize being aroace. I can't do much but talk about my experiences, but I can totally do more in the future by helping my community and spreading the word. Anyway, that got really sappy. I feel like I addressed a lot of the negative, and I possibly could talk about the misconceptions and my terrible experiences dealing with hateful people and people just telling me how to identify. But I do want to mention something. Being aroace is not my personality. It's a part of who I am, and as I cannot change it. It gets really annoying when people write these hateful mean comments like, "You make being aroace your whole personality." No, this has been like my first video talking about being aroace in like forever. For example, hobbies make up a person, but they are not the person's personality or identity. I like art and so many other things that make me me, but is it my whole personality? No. So why would be aroace be the same? It's really annoying when people make the whole "you LGBT people just like shoving your sexualities down people's throats." I'm allowed to discuss my experience on planet Earth, and if you don't want to hear it, click off the video or just don't listen into the conversation or whatever. I'm not putting you on pinpoint to listen to me ramble. You have free will to lead the conversation or just leave the video all you want. Also, I will be deleting any comments like that. Let's make the comment section peaceful, not mean, whether that is directed at me or anyone else. Please, I don't want to deal with that right now. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, talking about just me, and not necessarily about art or TikTok or animations, or usually my interests. And thank you if you made this far. Good job on the very good attention span. And comment if you like sunsets or not. Or you prefer like when the thing down. I don't know. Just comment that in the comment section for this video, okay? Cool.